Hi, and welcome back to Keep Smiling with Larry Rifkin. I'm Larry Rifkin. How are you? Today we're going to discuss the first four spiritual paths of Deepak Chopra. He has 7 spiritual paths that he defines. And we're going to discuss the first 4 of them and really focus on number 4, where it changes to become something about an inner connection and an inner reality. You know, every spiritual path out there is connected to a need that someone is seeking to fulfill. You know, they either are looking for happiness, or they're looking for acceptance of themselves, or they're looking for forgiveness. When people start on a spiritual path, they're always connected to a need that we're looking to fulfill. And then you have the difference between the outer needs and our community needs and our being part of a larger world, and we have our inner needs. And the inner needs can be somewhat ambiguous. They are not like, you know, as easy as hunger or thirst or shelter or something like that. And the way Deepak chooses to define the first 4 paths we'll start with path number 1. And the first path in Deepak Chopra's path to spirituality and is seeking safety, security, and protection. It's the very first path. What we're looking for in here is we're looking at shelter. We're looking for security. We want to know that we're okay. We want to know that we have a place to go home to. We have something that we can learn from. We want to keep ourselves safe at all times. We know we have an inner instinct. You know, if the danger is around us, we go into that fight or flight mode. But we want to come from a place of seeking safety, knowing that we're safe at all times, knowing that we're secure at all times, and knowing that we're protected. Probably one of the most important things on path 1 is knowing that we are protected. Deepak goes on and further discusses the step 2, or the path 2 in spirituality, which is seeking order, laws, accomplishment. It's in this path that we look for structure. We look for a way of fitting in and knowing what we need to do and what we can do and what the laws are, what the structure is, and all of that. And also in number 2, we're seeking accomplishment. We want to know that we have a purpose. A lot of people, I think we all realize that we have a purpose. Finding our purpose is a little bit more difficult, and people that are on a spiritual path and try to find their purpose, they say that the 2 happiest days of a person's life are the day that he realizes his purpose and the day that he learns how to share it. These are very important issues to our core self. I have learned over the past few years, over the past many years, what my purpose is. My purpose, and I can talk to you about me, and hopefully you can relate it to you. My purpose is to make people feel happier about themselves, to help people see life in a different perspective or through a new set of eyes, to see that happiness, goodness, and joy all comes from within us. And once we understand that, everything on the outside world and everything that we're connected to becomes part of that also. So, you know, we really want to know that we have a life purpose, that we're fulfilling our life purpose, and that we're sharing our life purpose. And I personally have been blessed to be able to share my life purpose. Number 1 is as a law of attraction master life coach, and doing my life coaching with clients and doing my my public speaking in front of organizations, in front of corporations, and being able to share that perspective. And I am so blessed that I have found my purpose and my truth. And I'm willing and able to, and in a position where I can share it with many other people. Step 3, or path 3, according to Deepak Chopra, is seeking community, seeking togetherness, seeking inner peace. We want to know that we belong to the community, whether it's a local community, a regional community, a statewide community, a national community, or a global community, because we all belong to a global community and we are all interconnected. Also, in path 3, we get to a point where we're beginning to look for inner peace. We realize that all this chatter, all this clatter going on in our mind, clutter going on in our mind, everything that's happening to us on the outside circumstances, outside situations, can affect the way people think. But as we get to a point on our spiritual path where we're seeking inner peace, we know and we learn that that comes from inside. The first 3 spiritual paths, path 1, seeking safety, seeking security, seeking protection. Path 2, seeking order, seeking law, seeking accomplishment. And path 3, seeking community, togetherness, and inner peace, are all the basic paths on a spiritual group. No one is immune from these primal needs, and they must be fulfilled. Next path, path 4, we start on a personal choice. It's much more private to ourselves. It's very private, and it's less mandatory. It's something that we choose to do, that we have the ability to make this choice, that we want to be on this spiritual path, this spiritual journey, and we want to learn and grow from it. I think at path 4, we keep seeking at this point a deeper and deeper understanding and journey into our own nature, into our own selves, into each of us. And on this journey, and looking inside, and looking for contentment, and looking for the answers inside, is not felt by everyone. Actually, it's felt by very few. But those on a spiritual path are the ones who are turning to find our happiness inside of us and know that it comes from inside of us. Path 4, according to Deepak Chopra, is 7 paths to spirituality, is seeking wisdom, intuitive understanding, and understanding of a divine presence. At this point, on a personal journey, we move past seeing this God image as a supernatural being that lives and hovers somewhere above the clouds. We realize that there's much more to the divine and more to that, where inner silence becomes a real desire to deepen our exploration, where the lines between our inner and outer reality begin to blur and begin to soften, and a sense that a presence exists everywhere that is divine. Everywhere that we look and everywhere that we turn, we can see and feel and experience the divine. And this is what Deepak Chopra is talking about on this 4th step to on a spiritual journey. On path 4, the seeker begins to find answers from the inside rather from the outside. The Buddhists have a saying, the question questions itself and the answer answers itself. That's very deep if you think about that and go into it. But we're talking about ourselves knowing the answers within us. Step 4, intuition becomes a viable way of knowing. We now are more in touch with what's going on inside of us. We're delving deeper into our inner being, and we're beginning to tap into our intuition. And it becomes our truth, our way of knowing, our gut instinct. Intuition, they say, is our internal guidance system, and when we listen to it, it won't steer us wrong. There are different subtle perceptions that we start to become more aware of and start to be able to hone in on when we're at step 4 of a spiritual journey and of a spiritual path. And those inner perceptions, even as subtle as they can be, could involve things such as intuition, such as healing, such as clairvoyance. And the arrival of these subtle perceptions causes an inner revolution. We begin to question everything at this point. And that's a key to spirituality, is that we do question everything. And we're always amazed and in wonder of the beauty that surrounds us, of the truth that surrounds us, of all of this. On path 4, God is a universal presence, always around, always here, always being. And it's a God that has no gender. It's not a male figure or a female figure. It has no gender. And most importantly, at least on my path and what I value, is that it makes no demands. It makes no demands. We seek our truth from inside. There is no demanding that you must do this, or you must eat this, or you must not eat this, and you can't. There are no demands. Each path on the 7 paths, according to Chopra, has its own contradictions, and we've discussed some of them in the past. And on path 4, some of the contradictions can be, if God is everywhere and always around and always present, is there no need for a separate deity? Always there, always part of us, always in us, everywhere we go. Another contradiction could be, if wisdom creates healing, which they say that it does, what happens when there is no more dis-ease? And I don't say disease, I do say dis-ease, which is what the question is, and what the statement is. But if there's no more dis-ease, and wisdom creates healing, what happens after that on the next step? Because we've personally healed ourselves, we've come to terms of inner peace and inner belief and inner knowing. So what's the next step? Another contradiction may be, the voice of God is always heard, but sometimes it goes silent. And when we turn inside and we turn into ourselves, and we don't hear the voice of God anymore because it's coming from within, we move beyond the form of a divine authority, because we know that comes from within us. That is the most important thing that we do. People that get to the fourth path on their journey of spirituality, at this point, really have no need and no outer need to become part of the community or to even speak about their experiences, because everything is within them. All of their happiness, all of their knowing, all of their intuition is within them. And probably the greatest freedom, and freedom is a major part of spirituality, but the greatest freedom that the fourth step, or path 4 in Deepak Chopra's 7 steps to spirituality, is there's no longer a need for validation from anybody else. What other people think doesn't matter. There's a saying, what other people think about me is none of my business. I've heard that on many lectures that I've listened to and people that I've listened to, but it's really true. I know it's a very hard one to understand, but what other people think of me is none of my business. They're going to form their own opinions, and their opinions are a reflection of themselves and not of me. People on step 4 on a spiritual path may appear esoteric to others, even though a lot of times they do great but unacknowledged good for humanity. And the reason that it's unacknowledged is because it doesn't matter. They're not seeking the approval of others. They're not doing it for other people's respect, or for other people to like them, or to influence other people, or anything along that. So because they've gone inside, and because they find that they're tapping into their inner intuition, their inner voice, their inner divine self, they no longer have a need to be accepted by everybody else. Sometimes they won't even talk about their experiences because it's about their journey and their path. And they realize that happiness comes from within. So again, on the first 4 of Deepak Chopra's 7 paths to spirituality, again, just to recap, is path 1, where we're seeking safety, we're seeking security, we're seeking protection. Path 2 is where we're seeking order, where we're seeking laws, where we're seeking accomplishment. Path 3, we're now ascending. Path 3, we're now seeking community, we're seeking togetherness, and we're seeking now inner peace. And path 4, which is really where we're delving into our spiritual journey and on our spiritual path. And path 4, we are seeking wisdom. We're seeking intuitive understanding, understanding the inner voice that we hear, the divinity within us, the God within us. And we're seeking a divine presence. Not in the clouds, above there with an older man with a gray beard. Everywhere we look, everything we do, we see God, we feel God, we know He's there. I hope that some of this was some information that you're able to use. Please do come to our site, www.AmazingUniverseTV.com, and talk to us. Tell us what you think about this. Give us your ideas, your thoughts, your comments. Blog for us. Come to this site and subscribe. Get our monthly newsletters and our updates. And until next week, have a wonderful, good week. And remember, no matter what, always Keep Smiling.